Packers Blitz podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived the dark times of the 1980s, Packers football, and lived to talk about it. This podcast is dedicated to, and always dedicated to, the world's greatest fans, Packer fans. All right, so let's just get to it, okay, Andy? Let's just start getting into this. Let's just do a quick review because we're going to get into coaching and everything like that. But just okay. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, Andy. And this is off the cuff. I did not put it in here in our script because I wanted you to give you off the cuff questions. Okay. So you ready?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'm ready.
So are the Packers a bad team or a really bad team? Bad or really bad?
So answer it right now. Okay.
Yes.
I would say they're a bad team, not a really bad team.
Okay.
As of now, is Jordan Love, you feel, a NFL quarterback or a backup quarterback? Oh boy. That could take up a whole episode. Well,
just really quickly. NFL, he's a starting quarterback. I'm not saying franchise. I'm not saying a Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. I'm just saying now, NFL.
As of now, I believe he's an NFL starting quarterback. I just think that he needs some more guidance and nurturing. I think it was an epic fail, just like you started off with, for the Packers not to get him a veteran quarterback as a backup. And so I think the jury's still out with every game that passes, and he continues to make the same mistakes and not make quick decision making. I think that I'm leaning more toward him being a backup. But as of now, I would say he's a starter in the NFL.
Okay. All right. And then this will easily segue, excuse me, into one of our main topics tonight. Is Lafluer, excuse me, is Lafluer over his head? Is Lafluer over his head, or is he just lost the team? Because there's a difference. Has he lost the team right now, or is he? You think he's just over his head? It's just he's swimming and he just doesn't know what he's doing or who to grab a hold of.
Gosh, I think it's a little bit of both, to be brutally honest. If I have to choose which one I'm more leaning toward, is that what you're going for?
Yes.
I believe, man, that's a tough one. Well, great question, John. I would say he's a little bit over his head from the standpoint, the leadership aspect of things, and him not being able to find the right people to help him succeed, not picking the right people on his coaching staff. And I don't think that's helped too much either. Basacci, I think, has done a really good job and continues to, but some of the other goofballs that he has on his staff. Yeah. So I think he's a little bit over his head because he doesn't seem like he has a whole lot of answers. And I think that's what people want. They want decisiveness and they want answers. Right? And he doesn't have either one of them. And I don't know if it's just he's not forthcoming with that. It seems like he's it's like the saying, grasping at straws. And I think that's what he's doing at the moment. So I think he's probably more over his head than losing the team. I think they would be stinking even worse if he had lost the team. And it seems like they are playing somewhat hard for him. But yet the results aren't there. And especially on offense. The defense is kind of hung in there, but the offense, as everybody knows, has been pretty
which is funny.
Pretty bad, pretty stale. Not exciting at all. I mean, no explosive plays, and we talked about that before, and it continues to happen. It's kind of a repeat of the previous game, wasn't it? against a really, really bad defense, a
really bad
really
team
bad
off a bye. Okay,
off a bye. 2 weeks to prepare,
that's the
almost 2
main
weeks.
point I want to say. Off a bye. Okay, so let's get right into our next part that we segue into this. Great answers, by the way. I agree with everything you said. Okay, Packers coaching staff and the team trio of life. So let's talk coaching. A lot of people are putting Lafluer on the hot seat. I am not. I'm not one of those people. Even though he could have back-to-back losing seasons, which I couldn't tell you the last time the Packers had back-to-back losing season if it wasn't for the 80s, and we're not going to bring that up. It's already scary enough out there with Halloween coming. Let's not scare any more people. So here's the thing. I would say, again, like I said, no, because yes, he's been hit with a ton of injuries, and I know it's next man up mantra, blah, blah, bling, bling, blah, blah. But when your next man up is a rookie or some well-traveled veteran, and you're not seeing the whole team at its best when you have a bunch of practice squad guys and second string guys, because they're that for a reason. Now, Rasul Douglas, Rudy Ford, who we picked up for practically nothing, Keeson Nixon, all these guys have played fairly well compared to, you would say a top starter in the NFL. I don't think they're starters. I think they're great. Put them in the nickel, put them in the slot, put them in the dime coverage. But would I put them on as a starting? No, I would. Also, the rest of the teams are not helping Lafluer. Some teams, they're okay, but they're not special. We should be thinking of a way to block punts, to do fake punts. We should think of a way to do a fake field goal. We should think, everybody should be like, okay, we need to generate points. We need to do something to spark this team. If it works, doesn't work, screw the gadget plays, okay? Enough of that crap. Let's find a way to say it's 4th and 3. We're fake punting. It's deep in our area, but we're going to fake punt. And everybody goes, what the hell's wrong with you? What I would say is good for you, because you're trying something. You're trying to do something to help him. Like, we're going to put everything out on that field. And hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I can deal with that. And I was listening to Lafluer, his press conference, and Andy and I were talking about this. Is he over his head? And has he lost the team? Those questions I just asked. And he sounds like a coach who cannot trust his young players. Now, earlier on in our episodes, you can go back and listen to, Andy and I were talking about they're going to put people in motion. We have some speed. We talked about that a lot earlier. Then we talked about the offensive line. Is the strength. Well, it's not what we thought it would be. And, also all the first game of all the promise is not there against the Bears. Everything was boom, 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 clicking. We're doing really good. So what's the problem? So I know it's time for Lafluer to trust his young team. It's time now, because I really think he's swimming in the sense of he just, I can't trust these guys. I can't put that guy in motion. I got DeGuara out there freaking got knowing the count and causing a 5-yard penalty. And come on, he's not even a young guy. So how can you trust your young guys to be running jet sweeps and gadget plays? And no. I'm not saying let's keep it simple and pedestrian. That was somebody used. It was really good. I was listening to a guy. His name is Tom Grassi. He's on YouTube. He's very funny. If you get a time to check him out, he's a huge Packer fan. And he used the word pedestrian, which I know you love great words, Andy. And it's true. It's pedestrian to the point of, okay, we made it simple, but we're not doing anything to, trust the guys to go into motion or to do something a little bit wrinkle. Let's put a wrinkle in there, okay? Let's have Jordan Love go and go out for a pass. And they kind of did that, kind of, but they don't do it enough. They just go, okay, we tried that, didn't work. Also, Joe Barry, oh boy, he's not the guy. He keeps. They gave up 19 points to one of the worst teams in the NFL. Now, I have to say that's really good. Okay, that really is to an NFL team. 19 points. That's all you did, but he doesn't find the way to still continue to make the other teams work for it. Like Jerry Jeudy, who has done nothing, okay? Cortland Sutton, who has done nothing, even though Cortland Sutton leads the Broncos, which in receiving, which I whatever. They were playing again off them. They weren't, trying to pressure them. The Packers had one sack. One lousy sack. We had 4 sacks against the Raiders. And I'm like, okay, we got the thing with Wilson is you get in his face. He can't run as much as he used to do, even though he did prove he could, which is ridiculous. But he just doesn't do what he has to do. And I get it, there's injuries, but you have spent a ton of draft capital, and we're still an average team. So Joe Barry, you got to figure out a way to have someone step up. If you're going to keep Joe Barry, fine, but you got to have someone step up and figure this out, because you can't keep keeping them in the game. Andy and I are watching the game. They had at that time, I think it was like 13 whatever to 6, and we were totally in the game. And then here we go. They get a touchdown, and that's it. Now, let's talk about Rich Bisaccia. Remember, I told you he is the assistant coach. And he's the assistant coach for the reason. Okay. One, they probably wanted to keep him. So he was like, hey, look, I'm not going to stick around if I'm just some special teams guy. I'm too qualified. Makes sense. But we paid you a ton of money, Rich. So shut up. So anyway, he's kind of regressing too, in the sense that he coached Rich Bisaccia coached a dumpster fire in Las Vegas, and they made the playoffs. I mean, go back, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago before Devontae Adams got there. That place was a mess. John Gruden had turned that into a dumpster fire on top of the dumpster fire. So what I don't understand is, again, they brought a ton of money to bring him here to help us improve special teams. And, he's done enough to warrant some money spent. But why isn't he in Lafluer like, hey, I'm the assistant coach, Lafluer, that play you called was shit. I want this. Of course, you can't say shit, but, maybe him like coming up to Lafluer, and maybe he has. Maybe we don't see it. The camera's not on him 24/7. And go up to Lafluer and go, hey, call timeout. We can't run this play. Maybe he has. I don't know. But Rich Bisaccia has enough class and experience to be like, we got to do something, and I'm here to help. So what do you want me to do? Jordan Love. Well, he still needs to prove himself. Like Andy said, I still think he's a starter too, but it's not looking good. And I don't see the brilliance. Andy and I were talking on before we got on here. Now, Aaron Rodgers, you got to go back. Everyone thinks of the greatness of Aaron Rodgers, and I love Aaron Rodgers, as everyone knows, who listens to our Packers Blitz. But remember, Aaron Rodgers was 6-10 his first season as a starter. Also, he was 1-7 in games decided by 4 points or less. Love right now is 1-3. So, again, there's some other stats my friend Kirk gave me. He said when Love attempts a pass of 20 yards or more, he is 6 for 27 with 0 TDs and 3 interceptions. And the thing is, yesterday when he threw that ball, Andy and I were like, what are you doing? When I think it was Aaron Jones or somebody was out in the flat where he could have just thrown it and they could have got 5, maybe 6 yards. Who knows? Somebody breaks a tackle. They could have got more. So it really just looks at it like, we can't waste our talent anymore like we did with Rodgers. So I'm kind of flipping around here. If this season winds up to be a 5-12 season, a 6-12 season, that will be back-to-back losing seasons for the first time in forever of the Packers losing. So the main things is, and Andy, we're talking about this too offline, is the biggest problem with Rodgers is why we did not win another Super Bowl is we did not have the right players, the right coaches. We just didn't have the veterans to help the rookies. So to me, it was like, are we history repeating itself in a sense that he's doing the same thing Mike McCarthy did and Ted Thompson did, draft and development, stick to the bread and butter, keep doing what we're doing, and things will turn around. You got to have patience, which is fine. But again, what do we do with Love? A lot of people too are saying, do we bench Love? If he has another loss, bring in, Clifford. And that's not a great idea either. So I would say, as of right now, Lafluer is over his head, but he should have coaches who go, hey, don't worry, I got you. I got your back. Just like friends do. If Andy needed help, I would be there and be like, hey, buddy, what do you need? What can I do to help you? So, all this is said, as you see, it's just not Jordan Love. It's Rich Bisaccia. It's Joe Barry. It's Floor. It's the assistant coaches. It's all the people associated with this, not trusting people, not putting people in to win, coming off a bye and putting this stinker out there was just really like, okay, that's coaching. It comes down to that. And yes, the players have to develop and stuff. So that's it for me. It wasn't really a rant. It was just what I'm seeing after watching football for over 40 years. Again, I've never coached in the NFL. I'm not saying that I could do a better job. What I'm saying is this is what I'm seeing, and this is what I've lived through from seeing bad coaches over the years versus coaches like Mike Holmgren versus a coach like Ray Rhodes who lasted 1 year and couldn't do anything right. And so just knowing that. So Andy, you had a little tree of life thing, unless you want to add something to that.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add, John, and you're spot on with a lot of it, but I would say the one thing that you were trying to get at with Jordan Love, we haven't seen a whole lot of it factor, a lot of wow, a lot of sizzle. And because of that, he's not the spark that's going to ignite, bring the fire, the sizzle to the team. And that kind of segues into my next segment. So I did want to bring that up. And a lot of people have mentioned this, where you don't see a whole lot of wow with Jordan. And so that's where you're realizing he might not ever be a top 10 quarterback, maybe not even a top 15 quarterback, which we all know in the National Football League means basically you're not going to be successful and not win many Super Bowls or any. So I figured I'd just mention that. So the reason I'm talking about the Tree of Life, and people are probably wondering, what the heck is he talking about? There's if people have ever been to Disney World and to Animal Kingdom, there's this big, huge tree that kind of has to do with the Lion King and the Circle of Life and whatever. There's this huge tree that's the Tree of Life. So when you come in, it's kind of like, and so I'm going to tie that into how that correlates with an NFL football team. So bear with me a minute. I was trying to come up with some content and it wasn't easy. John, Packers fans out there, there's not a lot of people that people that want to talk about the Packers or write about the Packers. So I wasn't finding a lot of interesting things. So I had to come up with something on my own. And that's why it took me quite a long time today to come up with some of it, just because there just wasn't anything that was giving me any wow and sizzle when I was reading some of these articles. So, So anyway, let's talk a little bit about that. And so for a team to have life and to be successful, it has to have three crucial elements. So number one, its coaching tree has to be able to help the young players grow and improve at their respective positions and devise schemes and call plays to help them succeed. Lafleur's talked about that, by the way. Then the key is to have a head coach, Lafleur, who can be the roots of the tree and can bring this all together and give the team life and success. The second element is that the young players need to be able to have the talent and football acumen to grow in the system, make adjustments, and do their assignments effectively. The veteran players in each position group, if there are any, need to support those younger players and lead by example. Younger and older players alike form the branches of the team, of that tree, and are on the field to give that team success. And then the third element I wanted to talk about, the third crucial element that has to do with the team is the organization. In particular, the personnel department has to be able to almost surgically remove or fix issues with the coaching staff and player personnel as necessary. Call it what you like. In this example, just call it pruning the dead or unwanted limbs. For if you fail to do so, then the team will wither, die, and lose football games. Of course, it all starts with drafting the right players like Aaron Rodgers, who have a chip on their shoulder, who have the desire and passion to learn, grow, and succeed. Players who are all about winning and being the best. It all starts with finding the right coaching staff who have the smarts to outcoach the opposing coaching staff. The Green Bay Packers need some more of those transcendent players and coaches with the will, the passion, and the talent on their football team. That flood of talent will be like rain to help the Packers tree grow, lush and green, and into a Super Bowl contender that will win the Lombardi Trophy again. I realize, Packers fans, that I omitted one crucial element for the Packers tree of life to thrive and live. I do not forget. The Packers fans who go to home games at Lambeau Field and travel to away games and support their team are not left unheard. The fans were like the radiant rays of the sun shining down on the branches of the team's tree. How could the players not hear and see all of you out there supporting your team and not give their all, I guess. Thank you, Packers fans. Thank you for supporting your team. And I just wish that the Packers gave the fans a little bit more to cheer about. I know the players were trying to give it their all. Unfortunately, they just weren't. It was almost like a Freudian slip when I said that they were not giving their all. But I'm just telling you that it's just a little bit disconcerting. John, any comments on my Packers tree of life?
I love it. That makes total sense because every team needs that, right? But I just kind of want to add a little bit, just really quickly. Bandwagon fans are kind of like, how do I say, those little sprouty little trees around where you usually try to cut them down so they're not like, making your that's to me the bandwagon fans are those little things. You're like, man, they're
Packers fans are sequoias. They're redwoods.
Yeah, we are sequoias.
I mean, there's diehard fans that have been there, since Lombardi, since I mean, a long time. And they're just very, very loyal fans, and they're great. So that's
why Packer fans. Yeah, the Packer fans are the best fans. So here we go, folks. Hold on to your knickers. We're gonna do a review. Andy, you wanna start out of the review of the Denver game? We'll try to make it quick.
Yeah, we'll try. Third consecutive loss at the hands of the Denver Broncos, 19-17. So we started off the season, John, 2-1, and how things have changed. Now we're 2-4, unfortunately. So the one obvious takeaway that I have more than any other, well over 80 to 90% of the NFL experts and even Vegas were wrong about the result of the Packers game this week. Almost everyone had the Packers winning by a small margin. That obviously did not happen. Well, Packers Blitz fans, we were expected to beat the Vikings this week again. We're expected to beat them. Anyone want to take that bet? Anybody want to take that bet after watching this team, especially the last 3 losses in a row? And by the way, the Vikings are ahead 10-0 at the moment over San Francisco at home.
Of course they are.
NFL is crazy.
That's crazy.
It's bonkers. It's ludicrous.
It is totally
the stuff that's
bonkers.
going on in the NFL. Okay, off the subject.
All right.
It's like, woo! Something strange is going on out there.
It is, man. It's
so John, any more comments or takeaways that you have? I'm going to go through some of the more takeaways that I have for the game in just a minute. So
one thing, I'm just going along here. Okay, so one thing we have kind of laxed on, that's because Andy and I are like really racking our brains, is Packer Blitz players of the game. And we've been lacking on that, Andy. So let me take it. If you disagree, so let's start.
The Packer fans again for showing up and supporting their team. I mean, you can see the green and gold in the stands.
Packer fans,
go Pack, go! They showed up. Yeah, there wasn't as much orange as you would think there would be at that game.
No, there wasn't. So that's why we love you. So here's the thing. Let's do this really quickly, really easy. Rashawn Gary on defense. Duh. He was single-handedly like, I'm going to win this game. He's throwing players around. He's busting up in the middle. He's like, guys, come on. We can do this.
Tackles for loss in the backfield. Making plays at opportune times.
It's crazy. And this will be a surprise. A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon finally said, well, shit, I better do something or my ass is out of here. So he ran like he should have been running the past few games. He was our rushing leader. He was our receiving leader, average. So he had whatever. So those two guys.
Good call outs. Yeah.
So those two guys.
It's funny. It's like almost you're reading my mind, John, because those were the two that I was going to put. But I was I've been so.
Yeah, we've been lazy
by the last game and the game before that I just couldn't bring myself to it. But that is good recognition for those two players. So
let's so those Packer Blitz fans, obviously they are everything but A.J. Dillon and Rashawn Gary, respectively, defense, offense. So now you have to do an apology.
Yeah.
You want me to say it,
or do you want to say it?
No, you could do it.
On behalf of Packers Nation, sorry, Kurt. You have to now listen to Broncos fans in Denver gloat, mock the Green Bay Packers, and now brag until they play them again in a few years. It was bad enough that we lost to the Broncos 31-24 in Super Bowl 32. Now Kurt has to endure this recent debacle of a loss. Kurt, you are a true Packers fan. Keep the faith, man. Yeah. How was that, John? I figured I'd add that one in.
I love it.
Thank you, Kurt, for supporting us and listening to the podcast too, man. Appreciate it.
His sister Sherry supports us too. So she was at the game. His sister was at the game. Kurt was not at the game, but his sister was. So there you go. Okay, game.
Thank you, Sherry.
Game takeaways. Okay, bud. This ought to be really quick, especially first half.
So the first thing, the Packers are off to, for almost 2 weeks, and the offense puts up a goose egg in the first half. In fact, the Packers have scored 20 or less points in 4 straight games. So they're not producing a lot of points. Yes, Anders Carlson missed a field goal toward the end of the half, but it's still a good egg.
Yeah.
That was his first miss of the year. He's gonna miss a few. I think he's 8 of 9 on the season, so it's all good.
He's having a great season.
Season. Yeah. Second takeaway that I have is the 2 Packers touchdowns that shouldn't even have been. That's annoying, John. Turn that thing off. Okay, so the first touchdown, NFL's rules expert and former official Gene Steratore weighed in and said that Romeo Dobbs' 16-yard touchdown catch should have been ruled a pick by Broncos cornerback Pat Surtain II. Basically, Skeletor, as I like to call him, said that Surtain had possession first by getting 2 feet down in the field of play, first with possession of the ball before Dobbs got his feet down with simultaneous catching with the defensive back. The second touchdown, thank you, football gods, the inconceivable touchdown catch by Jaden Reed from Romeo Dobbs right to him. Great play by Jaden and great concentration on his part. But that's 2 TDs that probably shouldn't have been. But thank you for the second one, football gods. Third takeaway, by the way, take away those 2 TD throws, and that would have made quarterback Jordan Love's numbers even worse. Jordan Love finished with 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, instead of 160 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jordan did improve his completion percentage to a respectable 21 out of 31, which is about 68%. However, the Broncos D give up the second most fantasy points in the NFL to opposing quarterbacks. Jordan did not make the most of his opportunity against a really bad defense. Statistically speaking, Denver has the worst D in the league. And Jordan, what the heck was that final throw with the game hanging in the balance? John and I talked about this earlier. Deja vu all over again. Several Packers fans commented on social media with comments like, Jordan Love is a CFL level quarterback. Bro thought he was Rodgers, and that's called a punt. Jordan, a successful NFL quarterback, is able to learn from his mistakes and doesn't repeat them. A good or great NFL quarterback is able to look off a wide receiver and come back to him. Don't stare at the wide receiver the entire time and then throw it way short into double coverage. a dumb play 2 weeks in a row. Time to learn, time to evolve, time to move on. To the fourth takeaway that we've got. Injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Devontae Wyatt had a knee, carted off. Darnell Savage, calf issue, and Eric Stokes. He finally plays. He's got a foot issues, and then he pulls a hamstring. Something happened to his hammy. All that stuff didn't help. The injuries didn't help. Injuries on the offense to Christian Watson. He had a knee issue. Side note, he had minor surgery to his right knee last June and has missed time on multiple occasions due to hamstring/thigh issues to that same appendage. So for some reason, his right leg has issues, just to let everybody know. John, any update on his?
No, I'm looking right now. I do not see anything.
And Luke Musgrave. So I thought he had a concussion or whatnot. John, Packers fans out there, he didn't. I guess it's an ankle, and he appears to be it appears to have a serious issue after he was seen wearing a walking boot after the game. So actually, he has an ankle issue. So DeGuara is going to be playing. John, you mentioned DeGuara earlier.
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So I believe, but cannot confirm, that this happened after an illegal hit to the head area by Broncos safety Kareem Jackson, who was ejected once again because he has already been fined 4 times and ejected once for plays of this nature. Side note, the NFL needs to suspend him indefinitely because Jackson has no plans of stopping his headhunting style of play. The NFL needs to protect player safety. The NFL needs to issue harder punishments moving forward for serial cheap shot artists like Kareem Jackson.
So Jackson has been Jackson has suspended 4 games for his hit on Musgrave.
Right. So good job, NFL. Great job.
Yeah.
Way to be decisive and come out with that suspension. Yep. Hopefully it's without pay. In fact, he probably should have been suspended longer for that, but it's fine. Four games is 4 games. So anyway, so the head coach for Denver, Sean Payton, must like players who try to injure other players on his football teams. John, remember his suspension for 1 year because of the headhunting scandal on his state football team?
Bounty Gate.
Yeah,
Bounty Gate. Yep.
So, John, did I miss any more injuries? Did I get them all?
I think any
thoughts on the cheap shot? Any thoughts on Sean Payton?
No, just the cheap shot again. The guy should be suspended for the rest of the year, in my opinion. Because come on, this is the second time you haven't learned. I mean, okay.
Yeah, he had already gotten thrown out of 1 game, I believe. This is the second game he got thrown out of for doing that stuff. So yeah,
4 games. I would put it to 6, but that's me. But that's the player's contract.
A good number. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Well, at least he was held accountable for his his play. So the Packers, so the fifth thing, the Packers got outcoached. In particular, the aforementioned Sean Payton got the best of our defensive coordinator, Joe Barry. Payton was able to scheme his wide receivers wide open on several plays. Matt Lafluer, how about getting some of our wide receivers open too? Maybe during that Miami game against Denver not too long ago. Yeah, like John and I said in episode 44, the key to winning the game might be which head coach outcoaches the other. Well, I guess that I was correct who the better coach was and is.
Yeah.
John, Packers Blitz fans, this loss is an indictment of Matt Lafleur's poor offensive play calling and head coaching ability without relying on Hall of Fame quality players such as Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and to a lesser extent, David Bakhtiari to bail you out on offense week in and week out. Yeah. So it is an indictment of Matt Lafleur.
It is.
So that's why, that's why Lafleur was constantly 13-3, 13-4 winning. And now the Packers, Lafleur is, last year 8-9, and so far 2-4 this year and losing. Yeah, mic drop on that. The sixth takeaway, and I hope this is the last one. Yeah, it's the last one. Moving on. The refs sucked.
No,
I normally don't bring up the refs, but they made a ridiculous false start penalty on center Josh Myers on 4th and 6th near midfield. When Lafleur was making an aggressive decision to go for it, because of the additional 5-yard penalty, the Packers had to punt it away. Refs, the center is allowed to put his head down to check for his quarterback's signal and then get into position to snap. Refs, hello, you should have had a powwow and called offsides on 2 Broncos defenders. Absolutely. Instead, the refs directly caused a momentum swing all by themselves. Congratulations. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Awesome job. Yeah.
Nice job.
That's not the first time that the Packers have been hosed on a referee call this year. John, any comments on that? Bring up anything else? Well, there are so many things.
We could sit here as a whole new episode, but the whole weekend, I was just watching a thing on YouTube where they were making some calls that I was like, "Ooh, okay." There was a call in the Cleveland game that helped the Cleveland Browns win the game, and I won't get into the details. If you're a Cleveland Brown fan, you're probably like, "Whatever, suck it, we won." But not only that, but there was another call in the Rams game that helped the Steelers win. So 2 games, there were other calls that were just horrendous, just really bad, that the other team luckily still won the game, getting hosed. But Cleveland game against Indianapolis and the Rams against Steelers, both were just these horrible calls that helped the Steelers win and helped the Browns win. And I'm not talking about like, well, maybe it was like this offsides thing. No, it was blatant calls that you were like, what are you doing? So the refs will always be a problem. It's never going to change. I think every year it hasn't gotten better. It's like gotten a little worse. But I will say this, as we know, Packer fans, do not bring back the replacement refs. Whatever you do, don't do that, because we know what happened in Fail Mary against the Seahawks. Yeah, that's all I want to say on that. Do not bring back the replacement refs. So I'll take these sucky refs, but no, do not do that. Okay, so
good point, good call.
Oh my God!
So we're going to give everybody a little update on the NFC North race. As we're speaking tonight, Christian McCaffrey just scored, so it's now 16 games in a row with a touchdown of some sort. And he's playing tonight against the Vikings, and the Vikings are actually up 10-7 at the moment in the second
not for long
quarter. Right. Yeah, hopefully. So just a little update, everybody. The Lions are leading the division at 5-2. However, a butt whooping was handed out by the Baltimore Ravens 38-6 in week 7, and they lost to the Baltimore Ravens. They were awful in that game.
Yeah, they can't play with the big boys yet.
That's absolutely right. And they got their butts kicked. So they're 5-2. Great job, Lions. You're 5-2.
Yeah. Hey, you're a better team.
The Packers are actually probably going to end up being in second place, alone in second at 2-4.
Oh, God.
And we've already talked about the Packers and we're at their, the state of affairs or whatever for the Packers is right now. The Vikings, as of now, are 2-4. Hopefully, they're about to be 2-5 with a loss tonight to the San Francisco 49ers as we do this podcast. So they probably will end up being 2-5. They did beat the Bears last week, 19-13. And then in last place, all by themselves at the moment, are the Bears. They'll probably end up being tied for last place with the Vikings. However, the Bears soundly beat the Las Vegas Raiders. Those same Raiders that beat us, 30-12. 30-12, even without their quarterback, their starting quarterback, Justin Fields. Tyson Bagent, I think that's his name. Yeah, exactly. An undrafted rookie from Shepherd University.
Where?
Is that division? That's Division 2, isn't it, or something?
That's Division 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Boy. He was solid, protected the football, and took only 1 sack. So what does that have to say about the current state of the 2-4 Green Bay Packers football team that is somehow in second place in the NFC North? What does that say about the Packers? The Bears were even able to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah.
Jeez.
So what do you say about that one, John? Do you have any comments?
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say.
I have no idea what's going on. This is a crazy NFL season. You have teams.
It's been a crazy year for the Packers, and it's been a crazy year in the NFL. And the Vikings just scored. They're up 16-7. They're probably going to kick an extra point, if you could believe that. Yeah, Jordan Addison got another touchdown for 60 yards. I'm going to talk a little bit about him later in the preview for the next game. So sorry to cut you off, John.
No, go ahead. That's okay.
Breaking news: they just scored.
All right. So should we go to the preview of the game that I will be at?
Yeah. Congratulations, John. It really sounds like you want to be there.
No, I do not want to be there.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
So John will be there at Lambeau Field. And that will be Sunday, October 29th. It's going to be broadcast on Fox. Green Bay is favored, John. They're favored again. Yeah, 1.5 points. The over-under is 42.5. So I guess the implied final score that they're implying is that Green Bay would be 22, have 22 points, and Minnesota will have 20.5. Not that that's possible. So let's just say 21. Let's round up for the final score. I don't even know how the Packers would get to 22 too easily, but exactly. Yeah, that would be like 5 field goals and a touchdown, I guess, right? Maybe a safety, couple touchdowns, couple field goals and a safety. So anyway, the Vikings, there's no Justin Jefferson. Of course, he's on IR at the moment. However, the Vikings still have tight end TJ Hawkinson, wide receiver Jordan Addison, who's going off tonight, by the way, a couple touchdowns, and wide receiver KJ Osborne to pick up the receiving slack. The Vikings, they don't have any running game. The Vikings are worse than even the Packers are.
Worse?
Yes, they're worse and much worse. They have some passing game. Say all you want about Kirk Cousins, but he has averaged almost 280 yards a game passing. That's because they can't run. 67.2% completion rate, 14 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. I bet the New York Jets would love that level of production from its starting quarterback right now, wouldn't they? The time in possession for the Vikings is an abysmal last in the league. So they're horrible with time of possession. The Packers are actually 29th, but they're 32nd dead last in time of possession, probably because they can't run the ball again. Outside linebacker Danielle Hunter, by the way, has 8 sacks. I think he was leading the league with TJ Watt. Watt might have overtook him during his game. I'm not sure how he's doing this game, but they were tied with 8 sacks. And he needs to be accounted for in our offensive game plan. Just like outside linebacker Preston Smith from the Packers, Hunter may be on the trading block as well. Preston Smith's name is being brought up quite a bit as well. So considering they don't have 8 former first-round picks on its defense, the Vikings D could be worse and is ranked 25th by Sportsnaut. Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores doesn't have the talent at quarterback necessary to make his system work to its normal high standard. However, he's finding ways as of late to make the best out of the situation. His defensives blitz 58% of the time. 58%, John, they blitz.
Wow.
Last week, Flores' aggressive defensive play calling rattled Justin Fields and punished him enough that he had to leave the game with a dislocated thumb on his throwing hand. So that's the Vikings. John, any comments about the Vikings? Anything you want to add on those guys?
No.
Any players you want to mention? I know you really like their starting safety that they've got, but
yeah, I mean they always play us tough. It's going to be a tough game. Yeah, we'll see what happens with San Francisco. This is a very weird thing. San Francisco is not playing very well tonight.
Nope, they didn't play last week either. The Vikings are up 16-7 on them at halftime. So I don't know if they missed an extra point or what the dealio is.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
I think they did. They missed one. So that could come back to haunt them later on. But they're playing really well at home. Great job. I mean, but you got to give them credit. They're beating one of the best teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the Packers. So the Packers again.
Yes.
Let's not talk about the struggles of Jordan Love anymore. We're going to move on from that.
We're not going to do
that. Not one of the Packers receivers averages 4 catches a game and 50 yards per game. Not one.
No.
Isn't that interesting, John? Not a single one.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
No wonder the Packers were said to be buyers at the NFL trade deadline for a veteran wide receiver or a wide receiver at all that could produce. So again, not a single one averaging 4 catches a game and 50 yards per game. Not a single one. AJ Dillon. John had mentioned him earlier, gave him some kudos for the last game and the game before. He played well the last couple games. He still averages a pathetic 3.2 yards per carry, by the way. In 79 carries, his longest rush is for 15 yards. 15 is his longest one. 4 yards longer than Aaron Jones's longest, by the way, rushing wise. That is why John and I that's what we've been talking about. Lack of explosive plays. In fact, Jordan Love has our longest run of the season, 26 yards, just to let everybody know. So again, we're not getting the explosive plays from our running game pretty much at all.
No. because of our offensive line.
And partially due to the people that are running the football as well, for the most part. Jordan Love's been doing his part. He has a really good average, and he's been very smart about when he runs and doesn't run.
Yeah.
So he's been doing great in that respect.
Yeah.
So I'll give him credit. Kudos for that. The aggregate ranking, even before the season started for the Packers D, was 18th. They were ranked 18th even before the year started. Well, as of today, Sportsnut ranks the Packers, you guessed it, 18th. According to Matt Johnson of Sportsnut, and this is what Matt says, injuries decimated the Packers defense again. Combine the poorly coached defense with its top impact players missing, and you've got the results we've seen in recent weeks. So again, Matt Johnson said poorly coached defense. I didn't say it. Matt Johnson said it. I was thinking it.
What else?
I've said it in the past, but it's
what
true.
Else is new?
Okay, so I figured I'd bring that. I figured you'd like that one, John. So, there is a reason for them being ranked 18th when they should be, with the talent that we think they have on defense, they should be a lot better. And again, you can blame injuries, blame this, blame that. At some point, enough of the blaming, and just you got to start producing on the field. So, and they have not been playing very good offenses either. So that's inflated their numbers or made them look maybe halfway decent. And I'm fearful of what's going to happen when they play a really good offense with really good offensive coordinators and a la what the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm just expecting not good things. I think even when we play the Los Angeles Chargers, we're probably in for a long day there too. But
long day there.
We'll see. Yeah. So speaking of results, the Packers D has 16 sacks on the season, which is actually 2 less than the Vikings D. By the way, the Baltimore Ravens lead the league now with 29 sacks. So I thought that was kind of interesting, John. I thought for sure we had more sacks than they had, and we don't. They have 18 on the year. And we're not counting the sacks from tonight, by the way. I haven't even looked. Up until, tonight. And since they played the same amount of games, they have 2 more sacks than we do. And you would think with our pass rush and as good of players as we have on that D line and in the linebackers group, that we should have more sacks. And that's also Joe Barry maybe not putting them in positions, maybe blitzing a little bit more and doing some things to get the quarterback.
That's what we've been saying.
Okay. And then the last thing I want to mention about the Packers, not only has kickers Anders Carlson been really good, but punter Daniel Whelan has averaged 48 yards per kick, John. 48, which is not too shabby. I did not realize it was that high. I would have guessed 42, 41, something like that. It's 48 yards a kick. 48.
At least we guessed right on those guys.
Right. Yep. So now, Packers fans, John, we're going to move on to our predictions. John, are you ready, or do you want me to give mine?
You. No, I'm going to do. I got 2 words for you that will go. You do yours. We lose. I'm not even going to do a damn score because I'm too pissed. Because I'm like, we can't score in the first half, and then the second, I don't even know a score. But if I have to do one, I think I'm going to say 21-17. I don't know why I'm going with 17 because that's what we score. Vikings. I do not see us winning this game. I see us losing again, and I see a lot of Packer fans starting to lose their patience. But we're great fans, so. How about you? We're kind of writing the score together.
Yeah. I'm picking the Vikings to win. Before the season started, I picked the Packers to win this game at home, and then we were going to lose the Vikings.
At home.
Right. When they're at their place. Whoever the home team was, that's who we were picking to win. So, but after watching them the last few weeks, I mean, if I was betting on the game, this is what I think the outcome is going to be. I would be picking the Vikings to win.
Yeah,
24-17. And here are my reasons. Of course, the Packers injury is not an excuse, but it is. Packers injuries.
What are you going to do?
The coaching, the worst starting quarterback of the two. So who's the better quarterback? Right now, Kirk Cousins is. He is.
Yeah.
And so I'm picking the team that has the better quarterback, and that would be Kirk Cousins. The Vikings have been in every single game this year and have lost or won by 8 or fewer points. It's a lot like last year, right? But except they were winning those games last year, and they're losing them this year. So again, every single game they've been in, 8 or fewer points. Okay. In fact, their 2 wins have been by 1 touchdown on average. Again, that's why I picked them to win 24-17. The Packers will get behind again and will have to catch up because Matt Lafluer will keep making dumb decisions not to kick field goals when the opportunity for crucial points arises. I'm talking about that Atlanta game that still burns me to no end, that we had some opportunities to get some points on the board and Lafleur didn't take advantage of it. In a dome with Anders Carlson, and he's been fantastic. He would have made some of those kicks. I know he would have made them. And so we lost that game because of Lafleur's bad decision making. And I think that's going to come back to rear its ugly head again, so to speak.
I agree.
So, and we're going to move on to the end of the show. I'm going to give my little rant before we leave. John probably won't like it, but he's about to find out what it is, and then we'll have John take us away after that. And if John, you can rebut any of this, or we can talk about it before we leave the air. So anyway, I've got just 3 thoughts before we wrap it up. Before we wrap up the show. Number 1. Packers players, coaches, just ask yourselves, did we play a football game yesterday? The answer is a resounding no, we did not. It was as if they had all stayed on bye. Maybe even some of them were still playing Madden in their heads when they should have been focusing on defeating the lowly Denver Broncos. Now the Packers' attention shifts to the Minnesota Vikings. Will the team finally come off of its Week 6 bye for real this time? That's my first part on that. Second thing, John, any comments on that first part?
No, makes
you can chime in
sense.
if you want. Okay.
I will.
Okay, here's my second thought. Really good teams like the 2022 and 2023 Baltimore Ravens that get decimated by injuries do not whine and make excuses. They overcome adversity, find a way to win, and still make the playoffs. That's what the 2023 Packers need to do. If that means trading for a player, firing a coach, or even benching a starting quarterback, then you do it. The Green Bay Packers, a well-run organization, whether it's in business or the NFL, must find a way to pivot fearlessly when it has to. Now is the time. Now is the time. So my third thought, John, any thoughts on that second thought I had?
Just one really quick one, which I agree with you. We did an episode where we said Goody's got to stop being nice. Like Goody's got to stop like keeping people around and kind of dealing with things. Okay, we'll do, and just say you're not good enough to play. Not playing. You're not good enough to coach. You're not coaching. And we did that. I can't remember, probably like 4 or 5 episodes. Exactly right. You hit it right on the head. If you are not good enough, you are not on this team. If you cannot get us to where we need to go, you're going to play. Okay? And that's that simple. And I don't know why people are just like scared to do that, because don't know what we have with Sean Clifford, I believe, but I do know maybe he could be the guy that gives us a spark. I don't know, but to put him out there, absolutely not. It makes zero sense. But there comes a time where you got to go, like you just said, we're going to bench you for the rest of this game and bring in Sean Clifford to see what he can do. And I don't want to go there. The problem is, too, we don't have Matt Flynn. Everybody, go back and look at Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn was one of our greatest backup quarterbacks ever. He kept us in games. He won games. He kept the season going. I mean, he was just a heck of a quarterback. He was not a starting quarterback. Absolutely not. But a backup, yes. So, again, we don't have that. So we don't have our Matt Flynn who can and throw 6 touchdowns like he against Detroit and keep us in a game against the Patriots when Tom Brady was there and almost beat the Patriots in their heyday, in their prime at New England. And we just don't have that guy anymore. So that's all I have to say on that. So you want to get on to 3.
The third and last parting thought. Lastly, and I have to say it. I just have to say it, John. Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy took a hit below the belt from Packers cornerback Carrington Valentine while he was trying to force a fumble. Well, this is a message from Packers fans to the 53 players on the Packers roster. We feel just like Jerry Jeudy must have felt while watching or listening to your lackluster and somewhat painful performance on Sunday. That was truly an experience where Packers fans took one square in the groin. Hopefully, John, Packers fans, Packer Blitz fans, the Packers are not returning to the dark times of the 1980s football all over again. John, we will not let that happen, will we, John?
We won't. Not let that happen. I don't care if we have to climb and get into Goody's office and get arrested. We're not. No, we have to go on the field. I don't care what we have to do. Hopefully, it won't involve jail time because our wives probably wouldn't bail us out. But no, we're not. So, Andy, all those points were really great. So I'm going to wrap this up by quickly saying is we're Packer fans. We're going to stick with you, win or lose. It's been a rough couple years, especially with the Aaron Rodgers. Will he, won't he? Jordan Love not knowing if he's going to be the guy. Let's give the guy a little more time. We're passionate, right? We're passionate fans, and passion is good. Because if you don't have passion for something, whether it's friends, family, your job, whatever it is, your team, then what's the point? There's no point to it. But we all have to take a step back and realize, okay, we might be drafting in the top 10. Don't want to, but okay. We got 2. We're going to have possibly a top 8 draft pick and 2 second-round draft picks. Not bad. You can build some guys and get some guys in here that can help us, but we're still a young team and we're still going to make mistakes. So my quick message to Lafluer, he ain't listening, but if someone can get this to him, I would say, trust your young guys. Just go out and put everything out on the field. And if they screw up and they illegal motion and they go in the wrong way and they whatever, okay, guys, we got to work on that. Let's grow. But like we've said through the past, how many episodes, we have to grow and develop. That is your job. Win or lose, yes, of course. But grow, develop. Every game you go, oh, wow, okay, that's better. Just like with Aaron Rodgers. We saw the it factor. Oh, man, look at that guy. Yeah, there's a good chance he can help us. We're not seeing that with Love. Part of that's coaching. Part of that is he's thrown into a situation with a lot of injuries and not a lot of consistency. So Vikings, Packers next week. I will be at. I'm going to try to do some things on the road and put it on YouTube and stuff. Andy and I will be back the next week, so I can. It'd be great to have a win. I don't think there will be a win, but as long as the Packers show up in the first half and play a 4-quarter game, I want to win. But if we lose it, like 21-17 or something, but we are in the game, played tough. Hey, I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. So again, rate us 5 stars, like and subscribe us where you listen to Packers Blitz on your favorite site, Apple, Spotify. Also, please, PackersBlitz80@gmail.com. Please reach out to us. If you think Andy and I are wrong, if you think we need to talk about a different topic, which Andy and I will, check out our spooky topic. Halloween's coming up next week. Talked a little bit about Lambo Ghost. So, again, Andy, we went a little long, but that's okay. We had a lot to talk about.
All right.
There is a lot to talk about. So,
there is.
Anything else to add before we
are.
Wrap up?
Yeah, we are optimistic for the future of this team. Again, there's no I in team, right? The Packers fans, they're passionate, like you said, they're smart, intelligent. But here, when we're talking, we're doing this podcast, Packers Blitz. We are going to tell it how it is. We've been playing not well. We've been maybe not like garbage, but poorly enough that we're going to just be honest about it. And everybody knows it. So we don't want to be pessimistic. We want to be optimistic about the future. And we are.
Yes.
We're waiting for something to happen. We're waiting for something to be optimistic about. So we're looking for something to happen, looking for that spark. We're looking for that juice. And hopefully we get it this coming weekend on Sunday against the Vikings at Lambeau.
All right, buddy. Another great show. Love you. I will text you from the stadium. Hopefully you'll text me back if you're not too busy or not to throw your phone through the wall. All right, buddy. I love you. Go, Pack, go.
Go, Pack, go.
All right, buddy.